Can I hand over the floor to you? Yeah, yeah, and please make sure you have mics, and if you have any problem, please raise your hands. I'll be here. Thank you.
Hello, hello. So we are 1 minute past time. Thank you so much for taking your time to join this session. And I hope we had very, good food. So we would be having a conversation on Wikimedia. And before we start, I would like to ask a question. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. So we need someone who is not a Wikimedian to tell us the difference between Wikipedia and Wikimedia. Okay. Do we have an extra mic? Oh, okay.
Is he a Wikimedian?
He's not. I don't think so. Okay, we have a hand at the back.
Hey. So, my name is James from Uganda. Unfortunately, I have no idea what the difference is, but I'm going to come up with my understanding from what I see or what I understand. First of all, I know what Wikipedia is. It is an encyclopedia that is online. I hope I'm right.
Yes.
For me, wiki means a place for everything. So then, trying to use my mathematics, the little that I know from school and physics. So if Wikipedia is where we can find everything, then Wikimedia is a place we can find everything media. I failed terribly. Yeah, but I think from the little that I've seen is Wikimedia is a movement that is collecting all information about the different things that are probably usually left out in the mainstream. So what you can call niche and bringing it to the mainstream. Yeah, that's my understanding.
Oga, you tried. I'll give you 3.
Please, 3 out of what?
Because you are missing very important component
Sadiq,
of
3
the
out
question.
of what?
Out of 10.
That,
3 out of 10.
bro, that's a retake.
3 out of 10. I will tell you why. We have another hand. Yes.
Hello, hello. Thank you. It's me, Biswas Chepang from Nepal itself. To my understanding, what I believe is Wikimedia means bringing out audios, videos, and everything in media form in the websites. That's only my, but I'm still wondering out my rating.
What should I give him? Amrit. I think I'll give him 2. Yeah. Okay.
I was.
There is one more hand over there.
Okay. So from after you, yeah. Please go ahead.
No, I'll take 1 from 10. No way.
Okay.
I think Wikimedia is a project, and Wikipedia is a part of that project. It's a kind of a encyclopedia, something like that.
Yeah, this is very good. Thank you so much. That's like an excellent answer. So,
Thank you.
Wikimedia, like you rightly said, is the combination of so many projects that are, that support the open movement in general. So Wikimedia also has an organization called the Wikimedia Foundation, which is the organization that powers all the projects that are listed under the Wikimedia Foundation's project. So Wikimedia is we can simply say Wikimedia is the combination of all the wiki projects within the Wikimedia movement. And the Wikimedia movement is what we call a family, is the community. All the different communities come together. That is what we call the Wikimedia movement. And Wikipedia is the most widely visited online encyclopedia that most of us have used in one way or the other. Is there anyone here who hasn't used Wikipedia before? I'm not sure. So all of us have used Wikipedia in one way or the other. So let's get started. My name is Sadiq Shahadu. I work with the Wikimedia Language Diversity Hub as a community facilitator and also the founding member and executive director for the Dagwan Wikimedians user group. Outside Wikipedia, I've been involved in Mozilla as a wrangler for the Mozilla Festival and also a member of the Creative Commons network. And since 2016, I've been contributing to Wikipedia and other sister projects. And I have this wonderful group of people. I've known almost all of them, yes, for a very long time. And they will be sharing with us some of the amazing things they do within their communities. So I will start with a round of introduction. So I'll start from Sadip. Sadip, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Thank you, Sadiq. So hi, everyone. I'm Sadip. I'm from Punjab, India. I've been contributing to Punjabi projects, to Punjabi Wikimedia projects since 2009. That's when I created my account. And since 2017, I work in the Wikimedia Foundation, the organization which runs Wikipedia and its sister projects and funds its community initiatives. And I'm working there in the culture and heritage team. Thank you.
Thank you. Tochi, big auntie. In 1 minute, tell us a bit about yourself.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Tochi. I'm from Nigeria. I'm a founding member of the Igbo Wikimedians user group, and I work with Wikitongues as a Wikimedian in residence. I started editing Wikipedia in 2017.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me? Right. Hi, everyone. My name is Zita, and I consider myself a researcher. I am originally from Ghana, but I stay in Germany. I co-founded Global Open Initiative Foundation. My curiosity for knowledge and the desire to help bridge the gender gap drew me to the Wikimedia movement. And I joined in 2015. And I have been a part of several projects. I served as the Anglophone Ambassador for Art and Feminism. And I'm currently the editor for Sub-Saharan Africa with Global Voices. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Umasoye. Probably the latest Wikimedian on this panel. I started contributing to the Wikimedia movement in 2022. I am the founder of the Speak Ekwe Fluently Language Initiative, a non-profit organization that creates resources for the Ekwe language. And this year, I've been privileged to be one of the Wikitongues 2024 Language Accelerator Fellow. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You know, I'm very excited to be speaking with these people because I've worked with all of them in one way or the other. So I work with Sadip on the Language Diversity Hub. I've worked with Tochi on several projects. And Zita, we co-founded Global Open Initiative Foundation together. And we've been working in Ghana on several projects across the Wikimedia movement. And then my sister from Nigeria. So now that we know what Wikimedia and Wikipedia is, do you know that there are several other Wikipedia versions? How many versions of Wikipedia do we have? Does anyone know how many versions of Wikipedia do we have in the world, like globally? Language versions. Okay, Amrit. More than 300. So we have over 300 languages on Wikipedia alone. And outside these languages, we also have several Wikimedia projects, as we were mentioning. Wikipedia has sister projects. One of them, they will be talking a lot about it, which is the media repository of Wikipedia, Wikimedia Commons. We also have the open data repository linked on open data, which is Wikidata, and several other projects like Wikisource. So their projects are focused on this important project that they will be sharing with us in a few minutes. But as a Wikimedian, I would not want to talk much about these projects, even though I've seen a lot of them in the Wikimedia communication channels. So I'll be giving them 5 minutes each to tell us in brief how the project is, how they started the project, and just a general understanding of what the project seeks to achieve, so that those of us who are not Wikimedians can easily understand the concept. We understand that not all of us here are Wikimedians, so please try to, if there's anything that needs explanation, I'll draw your attention. I'll be starting with Zita, who will be sharing with us about kente weaving in Ghana. So kente is a fabric, hand-woven fabric, and it is now one of the most iconic fabrics in Ghana. And she will be sharing more about how they are using Wikimedia projects to preserve and document this particular fabric from Ghana. So I will hand it over to Zita.
Thank you, Sadiq. Like many African languages, oral histories and cultures are passed down orally from generation to generation. And there is a risk of losing these histories and cultures when they are not documented. So with this project that we started in Ghana, which is Kente Weaving in Ghana, the aim of this project was to preserve and showcase the cultural significance of Ghanaian weaving traditions, particularly focusing on Kente and the Akan people and Ewe people of Ghana. Now, many of you will be wondering what exactly is Kente and why are we so much concerned about documenting the histories and cultures around this cloth. So Kente is a fabric. It is a unique fabric that is hand woven with strips of silk and cotton. And it is native to the Akan people of Ghana, but it is woven by the Akans and Ewes. And it is mostly characterized by vibrant colors and intricate patterns. Originally, it was worn by kings from these tribes, but today we can see that Kente is being used and worn by people around the world. Recently, the Democratic Party in the US wore Kente's tools as they prostrated to symbolize their solidarity against the fight against racism. And nowadays, there's a lot of print companies that are replicating this fabric. So looking at how global the cloth has gone and looking at how rich the history of Kente is, we decided that in order to preserve it, we needed to document it using Wikimedia projects. And the project that we chose was Wikimedia Commons. And Wikimedia Commons is a repository of videos, pictures of the world around us. So as part of this project, we visited Bonre in the Ashanti region of Ghana, and we had conversations with the chiefs who are the custodians of the histories of Kente. And we discussed with them the Tree Wikipedia. We told them about the existence of Tree Wikipedia and how they can use it to document their histories. They found it really interesting and they agreed to collaborate with us. So we sent about 20 participants to Bonre to listen to the stories and the histories from the chiefs. And after that, we documented the stories that we collected. and created videos, and we also created pictures. And we organized a contest around this to help the participants to be able to make use of the knowledge that they acquired. I would say that this project was very, very significant and impactful in the sense that it helped us to create several images and videos about Ewe and Akan Kente weaving. And in a way, we preserved the culture of Kente weaving. This project helped us to increase awareness about Tree Wikipedia, English Wikipedia, Wikidata, Wikimedia Commons. And in the process of training the participants, we impacted some form of skills in a form of digital literacy and oral documentation. So, yeah, over to you.
Thank you so much for this. This is an exciting project for someone like me who has been working specifically on ICH, Intangible Cultural Heritage Projects. I am very excited about this project, and I like the fact that it doesn't only contribute to Wikipedia, Wikimedia Commons, but it also casts across different language versions of Wikipedia and also the English Wikipedia. And this is very important. And I just want to share that whilst I was coming here, I think last week on Saturday, Friday, I saw on the UNESCO's website, UNESCO Ghana's website, that Ghana's Kente has just been inscribed as an intangible cultural heritage item by UNESCO. This is something we've been fighting for a very long time. Can we clap for that? So most of these things are very known. Like as she mentioned, there was also like I think Ghanaian football stars who wore the Kente as part of their preparation for the Africa Cup of Nations qualifier. So a lot of people know about this, but how well are they documented? We don't know. So this is a very interesting project, and I'm very happy that the Ghanaian community is taking it up, and we hope that they will be able to create an impact with that. Thank you for sharing. Zita, so I have a question for you. Can you tell us how, especially with recognition, did you get any recognition or support, some form of support from the public institutions in Ghana, like the National Folklore Board or the Ministry of Art and Culture? Did you reach out to them, or what was their response with this project?
That's an excellent question. We collaborated with some media organizations in Ghana. These organizations mostly communicate in the local dialect Tree, which is the language project that we're focused on. And they helped us in the sense that they helped us to create more visibility for the project. And they also helped us to communicate the relevance and the impact that we had with this project. With regards to the Ministry of Culture, we did not reach out to them because of the bureaucracy involved. And I'm hoping that maybe in the future we will be able to do that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I understand the bureaucracy part because that's one of the biggest challenges we face as Wikimedia communities, trying to collaborate with public institutions or ministries. So yeah, I understand that. So let's move to the next project, another exciting project by our very own sister from Nigeria, Omoseye. Tell us about your project.
Thank you, Sadiq. Umaswe, please.
Umaswe, thank you for the correction. So she's working on cultural heritage project that documents, their culture from Nigeria using Wikimedia Commons. We'll be hearing more about this project and how this is helping document their culture on Wikimedia Commons.
So my project is we contribute to the same wiki project, just like Zita's Wikimedia Commons. So when Sadiq was asking about what is Wikimedia, I heard somebody say Wikimedia is a combination of all medias. So that is actually Wikimedia Commons. So Wikimedia Commons is a wiki project where you can upload pictures, audios, videos, all media files. So that is the house for all media files. So you could use it as an archive for a project. For me, who is interested in languages and culture, I see Wiki Commons as a repository, an online repository that I can upload content related to my language and culture. So to give you a little background on why I decided to carry out this project. Sometime last year, I and my team in my organization, we wanted to produce a 2024 Ekpeye calendar. So it was late, the idea came in late, and we had to start searching on Google to get pictures, because the way we had it in mind is to design each month with a cultural fact about the Ekpeye people. So if you have a month like January, which is Emamumo in my language, we have a cultural activity and a background about it. So it was going to be an educational resource for the Ekpeye people. So when we started working on that, we couldn't find good images online to use for this project. So we had to go to Facebook. And going to Facebook, you have to get licenses from people. And also, most of the pictures are not of high quality because people just take and upload random pictures during most of the festivals. So that was when I thought that, this is actually a gap and we need to do something about it as well. So when I got into the Wikitongues language accelerator project this year, one of the key goals I had was to document 2 Ekpeye festivals, which is Eta and Owu. So Eta is a wrestling ceremony, usually done in most Nigerian communities or ethnic groups. So the picture you can see on the screen was taken during the last one we had in August. So this was one of the pictures, and with what we did with this documentary, it was a video documentary, and also we had footages of the whole activity. So we are using this as an avenue to promote and share the best representation of our culture in digital domains. Now, this is not only on Wikimedia Commons. If you make a Google search before this time about the Ekpeye people on Google, I think the first 5 pages you will see on Google, one is from Wikipedia. And the picture there was taken, I think, in the 1960s. This was a black and white picture of, I think, a project a researcher did. But with this project, we've been able to change that photo there, and also across other Wikimedia platforms as well. So this is one of the ways that we're also using this. This photo was taken in 2023. So aside documenting the cultural festivals, we also have folk songs. Like one of the panelists said, in most African communities, we have a lot of oral history, stories, and we usually don't find them in texts. So Wikimedia Commons is actually a place that we could house all of these files. So we had this recorded, but we need more people to access it as well for public use. So all of these songs that were recorded had to go to Wikimedia Commons as well for people to access it. Now, it's also a way of people to get immersed in the language. So what I do in my organization, we have language classes, tutorials, but people don't actually have a place to find most of media in Ekpeye language, like to listen, or if you want to practice or hear somebody having a conversation in that language. So this is actually an avenue as well for that. So this is a category on Wikimedia Commons. So if you have a wiki account and you visit Wikimedia Commons, you could just search for Ekpeye language and culture resources, and you're going to see video footages of Eta, that's the wrestling festival, pictures, and as well as audio files in this category. Now, what is the goal? Why did we do this project? I gave an example, like one of the motivating factors when I was looking for images to do a calendar publication for, but I couldn't find good images online. So also, cultural awareness and sense of identity. we have, I mean, if you're from a minor ethnic group, you always have, people don't hear much about you on the internet. People don't know much about your culture because you already have the bigger voices speaking. So, I mean, this is also an avenue for cultural awareness and also to create a sense of identity for members of the community. And secondly, to get better portrayal of Ekpe heritage on the internet. I mean, with this, if somebody wants to search for what is Ekpe wrestling like, you have good images to show you that. And thirdly, to create more resources for learning Ekpe. And as you can see on the right side of the screen, these are some of the comments we've had. So when I created this, you created this and it's on Wiki Commons. If people don't use it, the goal is defeated. So I had to share on social media as well. And by the work I've been doing over the past 4 years, we already have an engaged community. So it was easy to say, oh, we have this, you can check it out and get more information about it. And we got good reactions from people, and people are really excited to learn about this. See, and those who are in charge of the communal knowledge. I mean, all of us we have rights to our community knowledge, but we also have those who have been put in that position to help.
Thank you so much. Let's move to my very own Tochi Precious. Tochi will be sharing more about the Wikitongues Language Accelerator program that they've been running for the 3rd time, I think, this year. And I follow this project very well. I wanted to actually apply, and I realized I'm an advisory board for this project. So it's a very interesting project, honestly. I have a very interesting language from the northern region, Kamara language, that I want to document through this. And maybe I will speak to Eddie after this to see how best we can tackle that project. They have very few speakers in northern Ghana, and they live in a very notable place, the Larbanga Mosque, that most of us may already be aware of. So, Tochi, tell us more.
Okay, thank you, everyone. So, this Language Accelerator project is a project by Wikitongues. Wikitongues is an affiliate of the Wikimedia Foundation. Every 2 weeks, let me put it in a subtle way, every 2 weeks, a language falls silent, but then a language dies, so there's no subtlety. And according to UNESCO, by 2050, up to 90% of the 7,000 languages in the world will be dead. For some endangered languages, there are actually no textbooks, no dictionaries, no online presence. But then some activists are doing a whole lot to be able to get their languages out there. And for the Wikitongues Language Acceleration Project, it actually encompasses a whole lot of the Wikimedia projects, platforms, Wikipedia, Wikicommons, Wikidata, and so many of them. The activists are using all of them to work. But for the sake of this presentation, I'm going to be focusing on Wiktionary, which is the online dictionary that anyone can use and anyone can also contribute to. And I'm going to be taking insights from the Yakatech and the Igbo Wiktionary projects. Yakateco, or Popti, like they call it, is an endangered language spoken in Guatemala and also a part of Mexico. And Igbo is an endangered language also spoken in southeastern part of Nigeria. According to UNESCO, it's supposed to die next year. The urgency of language preservation. So for the Wikitongues participants, a language activist from the Yakatech community in Guatemala, whose name is Eddie, is working on the Yakatech Wiktionary. So this language, like I mentioned, has been identified by UNESCO to go extinct. But then, this activist is trying everything he can to be able to document this language. The good thing about Wiktionary is that when you're using it for language documentation, it's not just about words and definitions. You can actually add idioms, you can actually add proverbs, you can actually be able to define things that are culturally related to your language, like the Kente they are working on. So it encompasses core vocabularies, it has audio recordings, just like from the Lingua Libre that was demonstrated yesterday. And it also includes a lot of cultural context as well. So AD is trying as much as possible to document the Yucatec or Popti Wiktionary. And this is what it looks like. So this is an entry into the Popti Wiktionary. I actually don't know how to pronounce that, but just in case you can speak Yucatec or Popti, I'm sure you'll be able to understand it. So it has a definition. It also has an example. It has a translation. And some of them do have recordings, audio pronunciations as well. So these audio pronunciations are done by the main owners of the language and not like an AI kind of thing. Now let's shift to Igbo language, which is a major language spoken in Nigeria by over 40 million people. Thank you. By over 40 million. It's called the Ijele Masquerade. It's the largest masquerade in West Africa. It's called the Ijele Masquerade. It's the largest masquerade in West Africa, and it's a UNESCO intangible heritage. This masquerade has actually been predicted to go extinct. And the Igbo people are using Wiktionary as a way of documenting this masquerade. So as you can see, I speak Igbo, so I'm going to tell you. You see the Nkowa part of it, it actually defines what the masquerade is and what it is called in Igbo, which is Nkowa, Mmanwu. And then the Nkeja Soso, it's part of speech. So it's a full dictionary. It gives you the part of speech, which is aha. And then it also goes to give you an example of using the Ijele masquerade. For this masquerade to appear in Igbo land, it actually takes 6 months for it to be prepared and then for it to show up in occasions. It doesn't just come out in anyhow. It comes out in special occasions like when there's a coronation or when a king dies. So the Igbo people are using the Wiktionary to be able to document this part of their intangible heritage. Now, community impacts of what these projects have done. So from what you can see, you will get to realize that these projects depict a collaborative effort and grassroots action. When you go to document or when you go to make an entry into a Wiktionary, you would see that it's mostly not one person who is doing this. I'm sure you saw the picture that Franca actually displayed when an elder was trying to maybe speak or tell a folklore or something. You get to realize that it's a community that actually, gets to put this together. So it brings this kind of grassroots action. And then the Igbo Wiktionary as well has also been used in different aspects of education. You see both in primary education, you see it in secondary education, even as well as the universities. So these projects are making a lot of community impacts. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing, Tochi. And this is really exciting to know. We mentioned that Wikimedia movement has several projects. One interesting thing about these projects are they connect with each other. So she mentioned Wiktionary, and you realize that they have audio files for all the dictionary entries. So Wiktionary is the dictionary version of the Wikimedia projects, and it uses media files from Wikimedia Commons, which is very good. Let me move to Saddeep to tell us more about Wikisource.
Thank you so much, Sadiq. So I know it's a lot of information at once, but I'm sure this one, like all of them were interesting, but I'm just promoting that if you're interested in manuscripts, this is going to be really interesting and really fun. Okay, so the project is Wikisource. It's one of the sister projects of Wikipedia. So you all know what different Wikimedia projects represent by now, I hope. Wikimedia Commons is for media files, Wiktionary is for dictionaries, Wikipedia is obviously for encyclopedia, but Wikisource is not as clear from the word itself. But Wikisource represents libraries, more or less. And what you get at Wikisource is not all the work. Like in Wikipedia, you can read about any contemporary thing as well as very old topics. But on Wikisource, you can't just read books by J.K. Rowling or Nepali poet Bhupi Sherchan because they're still in copyright. So Wikisource has to work with that restriction of following copyright laws. So only the things which are out of copyright, or you get special rights from the authors to upload them on Wikisource, then you can bring them. So this is what multilingual Wikisource looks like. It is in more than 80 languages, and you see some of the biggest languages there. But then it is also being incubated in many new languages. And if you have a really sharp eye, you can probably see Nepali written in that languages there. So Nepali Wikisource is not a new, like a separate Wikisource yet. It is still in the multilingual Wikisource, but there are efforts to bring it as a standalone Wikisource. So just to explain a little bit more about what Wikisource is, this is what English Wikisource looks like, but this is what the main page is. And we have like a main text of the month that you can read entirely on Wikisource. But you see there's a download button. And if you click on it, you can download it for your e-devices in PDF, EPUB, MOBI, all the different formats, in plain text also. You can download it and share it freely everywhere. So you can read online, but also share it wherever you want. The entire texts, which is very much different from like a Wiktionary or a Wikipedia article. Wikipedia articles are supposed to be short, concise, but this is entire text which you're reading, entire book, to say in other words. But if you scroll down a bit on Wikisource, you'll see there is a tab called Current Collaborations. And what does that mean? Is that the Wikisource community is working to bring these books online. And this is what one of that place looks like, where they bring page by page, they bring an entire text from scan, from image to text. And I'll show more. This is what the Wikisource community does. You see, on one side is an image, on the other side, using optical character recognition, OCR, or using, you can say, machine learning or even artificial intelligence for that matter, using technology, they get a first draft and then they make corrections and make the text, digital text, they correct it and make it online. So in that terms, Wikisource is not a library, it is kind of like a bookstore with an adjacent workshop where you're bringing new books, but these are old books, but bringing them to the readers. But now I'll come to the project, Wikisource Loves Manuscripts. This project was launched in Indonesia as a pilot project. We were inspired by the Balinese community. You can see on the image on the left, they were working with palm leaf manuscripts, and they worked on a project with Internet Archive. And then we learned from it and got inspired by it, and we did a pilot in Indonesia with a couple other languages of Indonesia, digitized 28,000 pages, and engaged about 100 new Wikimedians in this project. And we also got partnerships with the British Library to bring some manuscripts which are in their collection. So, this is probably a reality for many other countries which have faced colonization, that a lot of our knowledge, our information is in other parts of the world. So we are helping in digital repatriation of this knowledge. So British Library, we got the Javanese community from them, 76 of their manuscripts back on Wikimedia, at least online. They have digital access to them now on Wikimedia platforms. Also, we are training handwritten text recognition models, so experimenting with them using AI. So some of the possible positive applications of AI, that's something we are exploring, and also working with major partners like UNESCO. And then a bit more about the creating handwritten text recognition. You see, this is one of the Javanese manuscript. We used it. We got the community to transcribe it and created a model on it. But then the model failed. Did not work well. There were probably not enough pages. So we pivoted. The community said, let's build firstly, because the Javanese community did not have a print OCR model also. So let alone think about handwritten text. They did not have an OCR for print books. So we first created a model on that, and that is working really nice. We published it, and now we're going to move to the handwritten text model again. And this is an example of the print model working. I got it verified. Obviously, none of the people here, I'm guessing, could read Javanese. If someone can, you can verify. But I verified with the Javanese community, and they said, this is fairly good, less than 10% error rate, which is considered good. Now we are helping others to do it. More than 22 languages, Wikimedians from more than 15 languages, 22 Wikimedians. We trained them, we got them resources to work with manuscripts. And we did a whole 6-month training with them. And they're now working in Assam, in India, in Philippines. People are working and just growing Wikisource Loves Manuscripts, or manuscripts on Wikimedia platforms. And Malay language also recently launched this year itself. They are also working with Wikisource on their own, not as part of our initiative, but communities are getting more and more excited about working with manuscripts. So with that, I'd like to add one more thing, that the Wikimedia Foundation, as part of its Knowledge Equity Fund, has funded Archive Nepal here in Nepal, and who is going to work on manuscripts in the languages of Nepal. And so that's the next phase also of Wikisource Loves Manuscript. Thank you so much. Shukriya. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing all of this. I'm not really into Wikisource, but I've seen a lot of development, and there's going to be a conference about Wikisource in Indonesia, I think, next year. So this is a very interesting project, and if he also works with the Wikimedia Foundation on this same kind of projects that are related to culture. So you can contact him after the session in case you are interested in this. Now it's my turn. Let me talk to you about the Kaya NLP application. It is an AI project that we piloted in Ghana. We started as a community, creating Wikipedia articles. We started, documenting audio pronunciations of unique dictionary words by extracting digital dictionaries and recording them on Wikimedia Commons. So the first pilot, we recorded over 4,000 unique dictionary words on Wikimedia Commons. As at the time we were doing it, we didn't know exactly what we could use that for. And along the way, we got in touch with some few NLP community members who were interested in using open source data to train their AI model. And then I mobilized the community. We were able to further create large data sets, text and audio data using Wikipedia articles. So for text data, we just used Wikipedia content, recording short phrases and sentences on Wikimedia Commons. And we used an application called Spell for Wiki. I'll be talking more about that. So the reason why we are doing this is to create like an online text and audio data for natural language processing projects like the Kaya NLP project. We also want to make sure the language is visible on the internet, making sure that it is integrated in several major platforms like Google Translate and the likes. How did we do it? We contacted community members. We relied on volunteers. With the help of the NLP Ghana and Google Ghana, we received donation, 5,000 USD to embark on a project for 1 month. We selected 20 community members who were translators and students of Dagbani language at the University of Education, Winneba, Dagbani department. Then we collaborated with the Google team. They were able to take us through the requirements, what it requires for them to be able to train the application. And we also, can I just skip? Oops. Okay, so I mentioned Spell for Wiki. This is an application that was designed by a team in India that records audio pronunciations from the application directly to Wikimedia Commons. And we intended to use this data for Wikidata lexicographical data. Wikidata lexicographical data builds lexicographical representation of languages on Wikidata. And what we used the content for was to add audio pronunciation. So Lexims works like how a Wiktionary will look like. So if you are interested in creating a dictionary version of your language, aside using Wiktionary, you can also start developing or building Lexims, creating Lexims on Wikidata to improve the lexicographical data of your language. And in future, you'll be able to extract dictionaries from Lexims. So we added audio pronunciation, and the fact that our language has different dialects, we're able to add pronunciation varieties and all of that. For Spell for Wiki, you can do 3 things. 1, you can record for Wiktionary directly from Spell for Wiki, Wikimedia Commons, and directly to Wiktionary. For word list, you can pick any kind of word, type the name, verify the originality of the word, and then you upload it to Wikimedia as a word. You can also add list of words, just upload a bunch of words, and you'll be able to record all the sentences or the pronunciations of those words onto Wikimedia Commons using the Spell for Wiki application. And as I mentioned, it was funded by Google Ghana, Algorithm, and the number of volunteers who participated in the project. So Spell for Wiki currently is not available on iOS. It's only available on Android and also F-Droid. And it's an application that works very well with Wikimedia Commons, so they are integrated on Wikimedia Commons. Once you have an account on Wikimedia, you'll be able to log into the Spell for Wiki app using that same account. Yeah, so this is the process of creating an account on, Spell for Wiki. If you have an existing account, you just enter the username and password. You select your language. There are a list of languages. If you don't find your language here, you can just contact me. I'll be able to connect you to the team, and they will be able to add your name, your language to the list of languages. So you can pick a task. As I mentioned, you can spell for Wiktionary, spell for one word or list of words. And then once you are done typing, after selecting your language, you have to type the word the way it is. And then you will see this record button. You press and hold, then just pronounce the word. It will verify it. You can play the word to see whether it's correct or not. If there's noise, you can delete it before you upload it. Once everything is okay, you just click on upload, and you'll be able to upload it directly to Wikimedia Commons. You can listen to the word. So there's one interesting thing that you need to know. Most of the Wikimedia projects uses different kinds of licenses. So Wikimedia Commons uses CC by SA, Creative Commons license attribution. And this is very compatible to the project that we're doing, because the NLP Ghana community needed free data that they can use to integrate Dagbani on their application for text translation and automatic speech recognition. So what is Kaya application? If you go to Google, you can search for Kaya application or just Android Kaya app. It's an open source initiative that focuses on natural language processing for Ghanaian languages. Now it has several other languages from Nigeria and Africa. It is the first Ghanaian translation application for African languages using artificial intelligence and machine learning data. It supports automatic speech recognition, as I mentioned, from English to these languages and vice versa. You can also translate a set of African languages. Now, as I mentioned, this was actually the original reason why we did the project. We didn't know that we could use it for any NLP project. We wanted to just record those words, dictionary words, create lexeme for them, and add them to the lexeme statement. So if you open Wikidata, you can search for this lexeme. To find a lexeme, you type L column and then the number of the lexeme. This is how machine on Wikidata recognizes lexemes. So as we all know, machine loves numbers. So this represents Bua, I think, on the lexeme. Let me see. Yeah, Bua. So bua means goat. And as you can see, the grammatical feature is plural, which has a recording of buhi. So bua is singular, buhi is plural for goat. So this is the statement about the pronunciation audio for this particular lexeme on Wikidata. So that was the reason why we created this data. We didn't expect that we could use it for other projects like NLP so that people can translate from Dagbani and vice versa, from English to Dagbani. Yeah, so this is all that I can say about the Kai application. Meaning thank you very much in Dagbani. How many minutes do we have? We have just 5 minutes left. So I'll give them, okay, let me ask if you have any question. Let's pick like 1 or 2 questions from the audience. All right, can we? So feel free to ask any of them, including myself.
Hi, can you hear me here? I'll ask a question to Satdeep. You mentioned the Internet Archive, and I did a brief check on them recently. It turns out there was like a huge hack of like around 31 million Internet Archive users. Hackers steal information from, these users. How do you deal with situations like this? Because essentially the Internet Archive is like a non-profit that tries to archive stuff for public access, for open access and all of that. How do you deal with situations where like you have all of these bots trying to scrape a lot of information and exploit it and so on? What do you do about that?
Yeah, so that is an increasing problem. Last year the British Library was also hacked, and they have, there was a demand for, I don't know, a big amount of number from them, like $700,000 or something. And they did not give them, and they ended up spending 10 times that amount themselves in trying to rehaul everything. This is we are seeing across libraries, across archives, like they are now rehauling their entire systems. Yeah, so this is just like we have to invest more in the security of these different platforms. But the work that I was just mentioning that the Balinese community worked within the Internet Archive initially, but in the end they decided that since Internet Archive does not allow you to make corrections to the text, it just produces an automatic OCR. They decided to move the entire collection to Wikisource, and that's where now they have a Balinese Wikisource or Balinese Wikipustaka, where they host all these collections. And one thing is we have multiple now copies of these collections. So they are at Internet Archive, these manuscripts, but they are also at Wikimedia Commons. So in case one of it goes offline, the other can be accessible. But yeah, the question you mentioned about
even in Wikisource, which is open source, yeah, the whole threat of bots scraping is still a threat, yeah, right? Yeah. And it kind of like poses the whole question of like digital colonizing, recolonizing what we're trying to do by decolonizing.
Yeah,
right.
So that's yeah, the question, the crisis of the commons, as it's said. We need to figure out how do we deal with it. So it's not open source, Wikisource. It is under a Creative Commons license, but it is still being scrapped, and they're making LLMs out of it and charging for it without releasing it under the same license as it is, by law. They have to release it under the same license as well. So, but they're making it, the model copyrighted, but using copyright-free content, which is against the very the license that you're using. So there are so currently there are some cases going on against these big corporates anyway. So we can just hope from
sure, like in future, like somebody like me, I'd really appreciate more information on like the terms and conditions, how you design terms and conditions so that you minimize, security threats like that.
Yeah, so I can tell you that on Wiki, and this goes across projects on Wikimedia. The most common license is Creative Commons by share alike, which means that you are free to use it. Which means that you are free to use the content in any context, be it for commercial purpose, as long as you mention where you got this content from. So you attribute, and you also, whatever you're producing, even if it's a book, a movie, a poster, you have to license even that in the same license. This is the most common license that's being used. So there is a lot of copyright violation going on. They're just looking at the aspect that this is free to use for commercial purposes, but they're not then attributing it properly, and they're not even relicensing it into the same license. So which is a problem, and this calls for more and more cases, legal fights that we will have to fight. And I don't know about the big corporates yet, that how we are dealing with it, but I do know small Wikimedians, small in terms of like individual Wikimedians who have fought legal cases in Europe against like a film festival, use their image from the internet, from Wikimedia Commons, and they created a poster, a film poster out of it. And then they fought, because they did not mention their license, it was free to use, they had to mention their name and they have to have in the same license. They did not do it, and they won, and they got like 500 euros or so from the court. So like that is something that's
thanks, Sandeep. I need to interrupt
you.
here.
So thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks.
All the space.
We wanted to have more questions, but sorry,
yeah,
we don't have time. So Sadiq, can you wrap it up, please? Thank you.
Thank you so much for being part of this session, and thanks to our wonderful panelists for sharing all the exciting things.
And may I now invite the next panel on the to change the glasses, please. Yeah. Glass change. Yeah, I have requested them to change the glasses, so just please wait. Yeah, and please make sure that your mics are working. So before you start. Yes, it's working. One minute more.
The we in AI. I don't know if there's anyone who still thinks that AI is maybe a dry or technical topic, but I think that this panel will actually be very passionate, because this is a passionate subject for a lot of us. Both the part about this so-called artificial intelligence and we'll get to the so-called part in a minute, and also the part about the we, because this is about our communities and how we deal with these new technologies. So I will start by doing a very brief introduction across the panelists, but I'll ask them also to continue and introduce themselves to explain their perspectives as we go into the first question. And before I do that, I also want to give you very briefly, not to take time away from them, my own perspective, because I think it's important to know how people who are framing the discussion are looking at the discussion. So to be clear about this, I'm a fiction writer, and as such, I know that some of my books have been scraped for the large language models, and I also have a lot of friends and coworkers and colleagues who do illustration and work in other creative fields. And so for me, it is indeed a very passionate topic to think about the ways that these technologies are affecting the creative work that we do. However, beyond that, I have seen that we're talking about a very vast array of technologies, and some of them can be extremely useful. So I'm here looking to learn more about both sides of this issue. And so moving on to our panelists, we will start with Osama Manzar, who is the founder and director of the Digital Empowerment Foundation, and you'll tell us some more about that, as well as your other many qualifications. Next, we have Dr. Jenner Yanes Ortiz, who worked on the Digital Initiatives for Indigenous Languages Initiative, as well as being a professor at Bishop's University. And we have Dr. Tochi Precious, who is a language activist, a multilingual project manager, teacher, translator, entrepreneur, and the co-founder and executive director of the Igbo Wikimedia organization. So thank you all for being here, please. And Tochi, if we can start with you. If you can tell us a little bit about the way that these technologies are impacting language documentation, both positively and where the challenges are.
Okay, thank you. I'm glad this mic is working today. All right, so yeah, it's a very, very vast topic, just like Moka said. For we in language activism, there's been like very good part of it, and then there's also the downside to it. But I'm going to start with the positive side first. So for us, AI has been quite okay and helping in faster transcription and translation. So I don't know if anyone has been able to use OpenAI's Whisper. Whisper is a speech recognition software from OpenAI, and it can process hours of audios into minutes and even seconds. So with that, it's making transcription and translation of endangered languages faster and even more accessible. Another one is also the Google's universal speech model, which is also being used in transcribing languages from hours to minutes as well. Another part of it is the data generation and language models like the AI, the ChatGPT you use, the Google Bird. I actually like to call it Google Bird, but they said they are now Gemini. It can help in analyzing existing linguistic data to create learning tools like dictionaries and phrase books, and also doing that for lesser documented languages. So for us, in the minor language part of it, it's been kind of helpful, or they have been kind of helpful in putting our languages out there to the world. So one example of this is the Moxilla's Common Voice. It uses AI to build voice data sets for minority languages like the Kenya Rwanda. It's creating tools for speech recognition. Another good aspect of it is revitalizing endangered languages. So it's helping to create content, language lessons, language games, language apps. A lot of us know Duolingo, so I'm going to use Duolingo. So Duolingo uses AI to develop language learning materials, and it has done this in a lot of minor languages, like the Hawaiian languages, and is making it accessible to the newer generations. These are languages that would have phased off, but then with the help of these AI tools, we're able to get them now in this younger generation, and the younger generation is able to access them. Sometimes you get to see languages that only have one fluent living speaker. Sometimes you'll come back the next day and the fluent living speaker is already dead, but with the help of these AIs, the new generation is able to use them. And there's also the crowdsourcing of language data. So we in Wikitongues, we are trying to explore this option. So in Wikitongues, we crowdsource language data. We have the language bank where language activists get to contribute different audios, different things, maybe videos also they want to document about their languages, and this has been made possible through AI. So it has its own bad part, which we'll get to later, but for now, I'm just trying to focus on the good part as a language activist and someone who has been using different forms and platforms to document my language.
Thank you. That's very helpful to hear. And Gener, as also a language activist, can you tell us your perspective?
Hello. Well, first of all, full disclosure, my work doesn't necessarily concern itself with AI, but as you mentioned, Malka, I did try, together with the contribution of many digital activists who work on their languages, a toolkit for to inspire them based on the grassroots work, such as incredible work as the one that Tochi has described. And when I wrote that toolkit, AI was still sort of lingering in the back of that conversation, and it hadn't really landed itself. So, and to be completely honest, I didn't know a whole lot about AI and its many applications. Not that AI hasn't been with us already for a good decade, present in our daily lives, which in some ways, should on the one hand give us pause to think that AI is not such a new thing in many ways. It has been with us with both its beneficial and hideous effects in our lives for already a long time. But in some ways, I'm interested in that question, and I'm interested in that question because of the issue of data sovereignty, right? Data sovereignty appears in the toolkit that we produced together right at the end, and I acknowledge that part is still is yet to be developed, and this is my opportunity to sort of participate directly in that conversation. I have an admiration for all the things that Tochi has described. My main concern, as I've been sort of expressing and talking to some of the people in this summit, is about the scraping of data, how that data is used and how we can prevent that. And there are many alternatives that have been built from the field of indigenous data sovereignty that I hope to be able to talk more about in a few seconds, and many beneficial possibilities. But here is about a question that I just recently discovered Osama has written about, Osama and the Digital Empowerment Foundation have written about, which is indigenous data sovereignty. So what I'm going to be trying to contribute to this talk is sort of not so much a balance with regards to AI as it operates, in the work and in the business of big corporations. But I'm going to try to make a case that if we want to work with AI, and I think that we should work with AI, we have to do it from a platform of indigenous principles, with a key eye on sovereignty, and there are already there's already a community of indigenous programmers, philosophers, lawyers, etc., that have come together and started not just theorizing about how AI will look like if it were designed on the basis of indigenous protocols, indigenous principles, but actually they have already begun to create prototypes. And I know about this work indirectly because, you know, I've met these activists, academics, and researchers, and I hope to be able to show you know, some of their work, although I'm going to be vicariously representing them here. And, you know, I have to say, without their knowledge. So, you know, full disclosure about that. But I hope that that will contribute to this conversation.
Yes, thank you. And Osama, you work to get internet to everyone. Is AI also something that we should get to everyone, or is there a difference there?
Okay, so I would like to highlight 2-3 parts. Of course, AI is highest degree of technology, you know, which goes right on the digital technological basis. So I'll read some of the I'll drive my 3 points that I want to make. I want to read few headlines. In India, an algorithm declares them dead. They have to prove they are alive. This is a headline of a newspaper. How an algorithm denied food to thousands of poor in India's Telangana districts, one of the states. Thousands in India go to great length to prove they are alive after being killed by algorithm, right? And goes on and on. There are 100 headlines I have collected to do a little bit of you know, trend setting, find out that how algorithms are you know, being used or driving. So we need to understand as a society that unlike past technologies, AI is highly extractive technology. There is no oxygen to AI if it doesn't have data, right? And we need to find out what is the justified way of taking the data, what is the right way of taking the data, what kind of data, whose data, and the whole consent and so on and so forth, and the rights. So there is hardly any data justice in data extraction or taking. Unfortunately, data is being taken of those who are connected and also of those who are unconnected. So it has, in fact, those who are unconnected and on the wrong side of the digital divide are more wrongly going to be impacted because their data is being given without being connected and without any consent, right? This is very important for all of us to know. So AI is not just a archived information, further manipulation and giving you something on a platter with a pudding, right? Like you have the whole library and then you are digitizing and then you are putting the algorithm and then manipulating and then giving you something on a platter. So, you know, I am actually not interested in the positive. Because positive is something that is being shown to me to extract my data to do something which is not being shown to me, right? Anything that is positive being shown to me by AI is actually a marketing tool and not really a tool because of which it's also actually going to do with me. So that one is an extractive approach of AI. And then the extraction of data is so deep that how I am talking, how I am looking, how I am seeing, how I am behaving, how I am languaging, how am my body language, everything is being datafied. So imagine everything is being, how many times you liked on Facebook, something is going to drive that, whether I like that kind of person or not, you know, and giving it as a decision-making tool, right? So these are dangerous things in the hands of the... Second, the technology of AI is not in the hands of social workers. It is in the hands of the oligarchies of the world. These are the people who have money who want to use this technology to tell you that I'm going to give you ease of life, right? I have no idea what kind of ease of life. We can easily see this, you know, already we can see the results. So what is, I don't think we can close down the AI movement or something, but what is very important is that we as a human who is being datafied, your headline itself says we in AI, it doesn't say AI in we. You have already accepted that everything is AI, now let's find our space in AI, you know. Where are we in this AI? Where is my data in the whole datafied world, you know? That's what it has come to, and it's just the beginning, you know. So I would really like to see that, you know, from civil society's perspective and from media perspective, it is extremely important to pose millions of questions on the intentions of the AI tools being developed, being imposed, rather than we see it as a consumer. You know, the consumeristic way of looking at AI is going to be the most dangerous thing, because then we will always see that, okay, this is a nice lift, you know, let's use this lift, it's very efficient. And then you go to become obese, you know, after some time because you don't use the stairs, you know, and then you go look for a doctor. So that is what we are giving all the data for the sake of ease, you know, but that data is going to be used to control us, and that is my biggest worry.
Okay, so we have a lot of passion here, and we have a lot of different opinions. And as we are discussing this, I want to start out by making sure that we're all talking about more or less the same thing. Because as we mentioned at the beginning, this term AI, it has gone from being something that was used in science fiction in certain very dramatic ways, to becoming something that's been appropriated to all sorts of different technologies. And we're really, I said so-called AI at the beginning because I think we're really not talking about an artificial intelligence. We're talking about a lot of different ways of using, and Osama, you very purposefully use the word algorithm quite a lot. We're talking about different ways, different kinds of algorithms, different kinds of large language models. We're talking about generative, we're talking about diagnostic. So I was wondering if each of you could tell us a little bit about how you define the technologies that you are talking about. And Tochi, maybe you can start us off.
Okay, so how I define the technologies that I'm talking about. So for me, at my own end, I'm referring to the AI tools that we use in language documentation that support in globalization of our minority languages. And like I mentioned, some of those tools like the Whisper, the Duolingo, and other tools we use for text-to-speech recognition. So they've been quite innovative in some way. Yes, there are other down parts, which definitely we're going to delve into. But yeah, that's what it means for me from the language documentation aspect of it.
So in my case, so the way I understand artificial intelligence is, you know, based in the readings that I've had access to. I teach, as you mentioned, I teach at a university in southern Quebec in the territory of the Abenaki people. And I teach a class that is digital media and society. So in this class I introduce my students who are at the bachelor level to the to many of these aspects, you know, and we debate and we have conversations. So the definition that I have used is one that sort of systematize the different ways in which AI has been described. Of course, we know that the concept of AI, as you mentioned, you know, is not new. It, you know, was first used in the 1950s. It experienced a curve of a lot of interest between the 1950s and the 1970s, then fell out of fashion, and as of recently has recovered that attention. But so in some ways, what we refer to as artificial intelligence today is not even, as Osama was saying, it's not even the highest form of artificial intelligence. There's still a lot of people who are trying to, theorize and develop ways of achieving general artificial intelligence. As of now, what we have is a series of processes that have converged into what we know as a generative artificial intelligence that has many different commercial expressions, right? And this generative artificial intelligence draws from text-to-speech recognition, draws from machine learning, draws from deep learning, the categorization and the algorithm, right? So it introduces all this data into really very large mass models of information. Take the data before they actually realize you're taking their data, right? So it's highly unethical, and these, many of these companies are following that approach, which means that a lot of their data is actually quite, there's a lot of noise in that data, and that has been reflected in the way the chatbots that are the most popular expression of AI, the way they were launched, in 2023, the beginning of 2023, showed just how high is the level of noise that they have in their data, because they are scrapping everything, with all the biases that they can find on the internet. So that's my understanding of AI. We're still, at a very basic moment, even with all the progress that has happened in the last 20 years. And I think that, personally, I think that we're still in time to limit, the negative consequences of that.
I hope so. And Osama?
Yeah, so, we are already in deep shit, by the way. So, so no.
Do we have an AI sensor to cut that out of the transcript? No?
That barrier to create is our job. It's not AI's job or any technology's job. The car should not decide when I have to drive or go. I should decide when, even the automated car, when it should go and all that. The problem is that, we are actually going to the level of adopting or taking a machine to work in such a way that I almost to the level of human, dynamism, that it can work on its own, machine learning and things like that, its processes on its own, it takes a decision on its own, is something that is scary. And I'm sure humans are so bad about themselves that they do the mistakes again and again, the same thing for the last several thousands years, that we will actually face this problem, then only we will learn. But I'm just preempting that if there is a possibility, we can do that. The second thing is that even on the face of it, development of AI is so anti-environmental, anti-climatic. I don't know, for general knowledge, let me share with you, one large language model leaves as much as carbon emission as equivalent to one flight takes 360 times around of the globe. One large language model, just one. You can imagine the amount of energy guzzling that is happening for developing to give you something, and that too, and the end of it, to make you paralyzed, because that's the one who is going to take decision. You are not going to take a decision. That is what is very important for us to also realize, that what are we giving up for developing this level of automation system is the consciousness that we need to apply. And why this is not a general knowledge. And that is where I want to tell you is that, the biggest job that we have to do, people like us who work in the community, to tell them that who we say digital literacy is important, this is important, we tell them that what is AI literacy is to relate with their life, is that this is what you are doing today, you will not be able to do tomorrow. And this is the information that you are actually thinking that you have not given, but it has taken. You know, it's something like saying that when you open a Google map, you think that you are only taking an information where you have to go and how much time it will take, but this has already taken all the information from you, is that at what speed you are driving, where are you going, who are you who is logged in, you know, what speed you are driving, how many, you know, red lights you have crossed, everything information, and that information is processed to give somebody else. This is a very small example I'm saying, but every time you are online, your data, larger data of yours is being extracted, less number of data you are extracting from there to serve yourself. And that literacy perhaps we don't have.
I wonder if you could just follow up on something you said earlier, because you were saying that the people on the other side of the digital divide who are not even online, also their data is being extracted.
Yeah, so that's the reason I wanted to give that example. India is a perfect example. India has got about 50% people who are connected, internet users, and 50% who are not connected, and they are not supposed to be internet users. But if you look at the meaningful access, 75% of Indians are not a regular internet users in a meaningful way, means they are not able to do transactions, they are not able to pay something, and so on and so forth. But having said that, a poor person whose ration card is so important, who only lives on ration, cannot access a ration without authentication online on a biometric data machine. And that is real time. And when I go, let's say I have a right of 5 kg rice and 3 kgs of lentil and so many kgs of sugar, which is my minimum requirement for the next 3 months, and that's the bare minimum that I need and government promises me to give. I cannot get it without showing my biometric on a machine. I have no idea what is mobile, I have no idea what is connectivity, but my data is there. You have taken my biometric, you have put in an authentication machine, and I cannot access. So it is something like saying I have right to food, but I don't have access to food. I have right to information, but I don't have access to information. I have right to education, but I don't have access to education, because access is digital, and digital is datafied. That's what I'm trying to say.
Thank you. Go ahead, Khenner.
Can I just sort of comment on that? Well, I completely agree with the critique, you know, the central critique of what Osama is saying. And, you know, I also had a, you know, kind of a, I was reflecting out loud the other day with the people who work with media and narratives. I'm an indigenous person, but I'm also an anthropologist, and I cannot help but, you know, as I said, what we're seeing today is sort of a hyper development of colonialism that is now gravitating to digital, right? But conscious that, you know, this is in some ways a turbo repetition of colonialism by other means. You know, all of these processes that Osama was talking about have happened before, right? So, you know, the times of colonialism, it was not data, well, or actually it was data, but it was data that was extracted not digitally, but, you know, through writing, through counting, you know, and that most societies have had. So conscious of that, you know, what I find like a sliver of hope in some ways is, and in the work and in the reflection, the theorization that these indigenous activists are doing, you know, some of whom are based in Montreal, a city that I'm very close to. They are sort of trying to understand AI as a cultural material and looking for possibilities of appropriating the technology without actually giving up into the power of colonial hyperscalers. So I just wanted to point out that that's, you know, part of that perspective.
Yes, I mean, we're seeing the people who are using these technologies in ways that they find beneficial. And since the title of our talk is actually putting the we in AI, but maybe we can change it around to say using the AI for us, if you would like prefer that. But can we think about ways in which we can access the intentionality and the agency that you are referencing, the power structures? Are there ways that we can change this around and use these technologies positively for our communities? Or to turn it around, what happens to communities that don't have any access to these technologies if the rest of the world does?
Actually, my inhibition doesn't come without a proof. The point is that digital as a tool of efficiency, or AI as a tool of efficiency, or AI as a tool of something that can benefit the humanity, I can take it if you prove that you are not doing it in exclusion. Now what is happening, let me explain. So for example, you say that, okay, digital authentication is preferable for accessing your food. But that doesn't mean you will not get the food. Now you are writing a policy that digital authentication is the only way to be identified and access your rights. So then you are already saying the technology is a barrier to your rights, right? And unless technology proves that you exist, even though you are standing in front of me, I will tell you that you are dead. And that is the case that got published. People are in, and don't laugh, it's not one person or two person, 100,000 people had been deleted from the data, declared as dead, and they went in bulk to tell that we are alive. What are you saying? And the bureaucrat is saying, I don't believe you. Go prove in the court that you are alive. Then what do? That means you have turned around the whole policy and the entire program and the rules and regulation as another one. I'll give you one more example. There are about 200 million people in India who apply for 100 hours of job. It's a necessary, it's the essential rights that has been given to as access to a job. You have a right to job. It's called National Rural Employment Guarantee Act, under which you are liable to, if you demand, you can get 100 days of work. All these people who get these 100 days of work, they are proven that they don't have a smartphone, they don't have connectivity, they are the just diggers and they are hand workers, they are the daily wage workers kind of people. Government has now made mandatory for them to mark their attendance with geolocation uploaded on a particular app through a smartphone. It's mandatory. So then how can you say that I am developing an AI tomorrow and it will automate and you will not do it in exclusionary? So you are excluding the people who do not. Tomorrow you'll say, oh, okay, you adopt AI or you die. So I can understand that you do technology for efficiency, but you don't tell that if I cannot access, you cannot say that only car-driven roads I will make, and the cycles are not allowed, and the bicycles are not allowed. That's what.
But that's a political question. It's not a technological question necessarily. Yeah.
Is there a difference between politics and technology?
In the sense that, and again, I'm talking about technology as a cultural artifact. So, I mean, yeah, I understand all of these aspects. What you were, the story you were telling reminds me of a movie, a very old movie, by the way. I think it was shot in late 90s with Sandra Bullock as the main character. That's, no, I'm sorry. I mean, all for, probably half of the room here. So it was called The Net. And if you remember, that movie was kind of a horror story about a woman that is tricked by, somebody she meets in at the resorts, and then steals their identity. So in some ways, yeah, it was the same horror story where the woman was, standing in front of the person, and that person was not recognized as such because all of her information had been stolen. Yes. I'm looking at 20. 20 minutes. We have 20 minutes to go. Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to add something. In the case of language documentation, you get to realize that most of these language models that they train them with data from majority languages. And then when, okay, let's take for example, when you want to do a speech to text kind of translation from Google Translate. And then today, Sia made a presentation and he spoke in isiZulu. isiZulu is a click-based language. Now, when you want to do those translations and those pronunciations, you get to realize that that click base is being omitted. And that's simply because it's trained with data from the major languages. So if there can be a kind of community involvement when these large language models are being trained, so that there will be no exclusion of any language or exclusion of the people who their data are kind of being used to train those AI models. I think, will I say, I don't know if I'm going to call Wikimedia platforms AI, but open source based models would also be helpful in the sense that it's the people who kind of contribute to this data by themselves, and they get to, like the Wiktionary project, you see that the audio pronunciations of Wiktionaries are being done by the native speakers. So in that case, nothing is left behind. So if this kind of techniques can be used to avoid this exclusions in terms of language documentation, and then be able to, like, we'll be the ones to put these things in the way we want them to be used, it would be fair enough.
Thank you. I want to pick up on what you said about nobody being left behind. As I said, I have very strong feelings about AI being used in creative ways. I tried to put in my contracts not to have AI generating the voice for the audiobooks, but I would think, when I think about books that are out of copyright, that nobody is going to pay to read, and so they cannot pay someone to do the audio. In this case, I can imagine that having those out of copyright books that have been scanned and are available online for people who can read with their eyes, having them available to people who need to listen to audiobooks, this is a thing that might be worth using AI for. So I want to talk about that exclusion. Osama, you were talking about exclusion as well, and you made an analogy earlier about the lift, the elevator. And we know that some people need elevators to get to the next floor. So are there ways in which this technology can be used to be inclusive rather than exclusive?
I will give the same analogy that, you know, you will go to many hotels where you will have lift, and then there are stairs, and then there are escalators, right? And you can choose. But you will also go to the same kind of hotel, will say, don't go this way, this is only for emergency, this is only fire exit, right? You cannot choose. Right, so that is exactly what I mean. What I'm saying is that I'm not saying AI is not required, technology is not required, the roads are not required, the cars are not required. Of course, all these are, forget about required. Humans are innovators; they will keep on innovating, bringing out new technologies for easing our own life. I am only saying is that the normalization should not be so much that this technology become casteist or classist, that you don't consider the larger population, you know. And I see that when technology becomes a power game or in the hands of controlling or authoritarian government and culturally controlling corporates, then this is the kind of rules and regulation that happens, you know, and that can leave the humans behind and the larger population, you know, violated for their rights of existence.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think that, you know, I'm totally in agreement with Osama. So my point of view is informed by the work of these indigenous protocol and AI workshops that were part of the Initiative for Indigenous Futures, and this was a meeting that happened in 2019, and I produced an indigenous protocol, an artificial intelligence position paper that if you are interested in that question, you can download. It's freely available online. And it's really a very interesting reading, especially for me as, on the one hand, an indigenous academic, on the other hand, somebody who's interested in languages, and also somebody who's interested in the data sovereignty movement, right? Among the proposals that this document makes is that instead of feeding into all-powerful artificial intelligence that is regulated by exclusionary logics, monopolistic instincts, and capitalistic profits, should actually be multiplied. So rather than having one artificial intelligence, we should strive to create multiple intelligences. And these multiple intelligences should respond to different indigenous protocols that should be contextually designed in accordance to the interests of different communities. I mean, they position themselves from the point of view of indigenous communities. They are all indigenous, but this doesn't mean that all local communities in the world should look at that. And some of those principles are, so there are three basic principles that these multiple intelligences should have, and these are respect, reciprocity, and relationality. So these three R's are key, for the indigenous peoples movement. The way it has been theorized and reflected. These three R's are, of utmost importance. And responding to that, of course, the importance of the data that goes into those technologies. There should be an effort to feed these intelligences with a healthy data diet, which is one that is not premised on the assumption that bigger data is always better data, but more on the quality of data that is input in the system. And while we tend to think about data in terms of a sterile, placeless, quantifiable, and scientific raw material, we need to rethink data as place-based knowledge, and then sort of root that data in the lives, the protocols, and the cultures, and the societal arrangements. Finally, as one important principle of this is to develop these technologies, develop these intelligences in a good way, quote unquote, a good way. And a good way is an ethical principle that supports many of the practices of indigenous peoples, especially in North America, or it's a way of referring to those principles in which when one develops something, one has to think about the consequences of what one develops for the next 7 generations. So this means developing things in a good way. AI cannot be made ethically unless its physical components are also made ethically. And that goes back to what Osama was mentioning about the environmental impact of AIs.
Thank you. I want to hear so much more from all of you, but I also want to make sure that we have a chance to get questions from the audience. So if anyone has questions, I see one over there, and we can maybe take a few, and one over here as well.
First of all, thank you so much for a wonderful discussion to all the panelists here, and also moderator. My question is with regards to, it's more like a perspective that I want to hear. So basically, AI is wonderful technology that is happening, and I'm very excited for the future, and it has been very, very effective. If we look at history, whenever there is any technology or innovation that is coming, right, at starting, there are so many questions, and there are so many issues that comes, and later on, slowly, there would be regulation, and there would be security. Same thing happened with internet and all the technology in the past. And with regards to AI, it is such a wonderful technology that it can solve lots of our human-related problems, including climate change and so on and so forth. So by questioning like this, by being critical about data, and by being extremely critical and trying to, have regulation and rule. Are we being a bit counterintuitive, and are we trying to, lessen up this innovation, and are we doing something wrong for ourselves? That's my question. Thank you.
I don't think so. The rule shouldn't be to do damage first and then, repair that damage. The rule should be to prevent damage and, develop according to, a democratic way, developing in conversation with communities to prevent damage before it's done. In Mexico, we have a saying, they covered the well after the kid fell into it, right? So we should prevent that, and that's why, after the launching of ChatGPT last year, the entire world, rose, and many critical voices came. So I don't think we should wait until the damage that is done is irreparable to take charge of that.
I don't know what to say. Let me tell you a future dystopian story. Let's say you in Nepal, after 10 years or 20 years or maybe 50 years, go to put a vote on an electronic machine to choose a leader of your choice. And as soon as you put your biometric, the machine is capable to capture all your 40 years of life, how you behaved, what you thought, and also your alignment, your caste, creed, everything. And whatever you put vote, it manipulates and gives vote something else because you always dislike, other party. Think about that machine. Because it has taken and manipulated the data on your entire journey of life and not a decision that you are making at that point of time. And that is what AI is going to do.
By the way, that has also happened. That has already happened.
Yes.
It happened in the UK and it happened in the US.
Yes, and I think we also want to be careful about the evidence of our statements, because we don't know actually that AI will be a wonderful technology that will solve all our human problems as yet, but we know that it has some uses. We have seen this concretely, and we know that it has some dangers that we have seen concretely. And so I think thinking about how we mitigate that moving forward is not necessarily a bad thing to do. And yes, the other question.
Can I?
We have a question in the back. Go ahead. You can go ahead first.
Okay. Okay. Just responding to your that basically AI can be used, as in there was an example taken. A knife can be used to cut vegetables, to cook, or to kill someone. So basically, when we have digital technologies emerging, the main challenge for all of us is to ensure and enable, technology in our lives in a productive way, which includes different stakeholders. And those stakeholders involve the tech ecosystem, the development sector, the communities at the core. So the question to the panel is, when we have these challenges at hand, if there are good sides to a technology and bad sides to a technology, how do we enforce a dialogue between all these stakeholders? How do we have conversations? Like, for example, AI and climate change, right? If we are saying that if AI can be used to monitor and predict disasters, AI also is leading to bad climate change because data centers are, causing damage to livelihood and environment in rural communities especially. Yes. So then how do we basically address them with governments and tech innovation system?
Thank you. Can you pass it to the back? Can you pass it to the back so that we can have the next question, then we can go to answer both of them.
So I have a question about reality and fiction. So over the past few years, and this is a question for you, Malka, over the past few years, we've seen a proliferation of TV shows, movies, and books that examine human beings' interaction with AI, and in most of them are in a very dystopic context. So I just wanted to ask you whether we should be worried about these dystopias potentially coming to life, because in some of these TV shows, movies, and books, we even see instances of how AI can kill people. Is this something that we should consider as a possibility?
Okay, so we'll start, if the panelists want to respond to either of the questions. Go ahead.
Okay, I would go with the first question. she was asking, how do we bring all these people together? How do we start these conversations? So for me, in my own opinion, we can start the way we are in this room. So we have to all be able to control them so that we can have the AI in we instead of all be able to control them so that we can have the AI in we instead of the we in AI. I think that's my own opinion.
Yes, in agreement with Tochi, and also organizing politically, going to representatives. I mean, this has been happening in the last couple of years since, the chatbot was launched, and we already see some moderation. I don't want to call it changes. Moderation. I don't want to call it changes, because they haven't changed that much, but they have moderated some of these more extractive and extractive impulses. But there's still a question, and I think that the other way of doing that is taking the technology in our hands, right? The work that this group, this Initiative for Indigenous Futures is doing is that they are going out to communities to train young indigenous people into many of these questions, ethical as well as technological, and starting the discussion, not letting the technology be developed by corporations. Paraphrasing a famous saying, artificial intelligence is too important to be left into the hands of the technologists.
Yeah, I mean, I just have to say that technology is not neutral. My friend is there. We had a great discussion day before yesterday in the hotel. Technology is not neutral. If it was neutral, it would be publishing this on its own, what is right on a piece of paper without the utilization of pen. Technology is never neutral. Therefore, technology's decision to use should be always consensus-based and participation-based and not in exclusion. As simple as that.
Thank you, and I think we'll close up, and to finish, to use the question to draw some conclusion to this. We are talking about a technology that came out first from science fiction. Yes, that came out first as something that people imagined. And in my professional opinion and experience, what we talk about in fiction, those are the things that we're worried about or excited about today. It's not a prediction of the future. It's talking about the issues that we're dealing with now. And often AI is not representing AI. It's representing a worker class, for example. Something that will do something for us without any effort on our part, which is important to keep in mind as we talk about this. But more importantly, because those are the concerns of right now and not predictions, that means that we here still have the power to make decisions about how these things are done as we move into the future. And I want to thank all of our panelists here for giving us some ideas and thoughts and from their personal experience of how we should consider this as we go forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you to all the panelists. Let's give a huge round of applause, and let's get back to the same room.